Hello, everyone. Welcome to our January product showcase. My name is Millie Hazekovic, and I'm the head of product marketing here at CharityEngine. I'm also joined today by my colleague Uzo. You won't see Uzo, but she is in the chat. She'll be assisting with some of your questions throughout today's session, and I'll also be taking some of your questions live. If this is your new product showcase, thank you for joining. Special shout out to our first timers here. Product showcases are our monthly series where we cover new features and enhancements, many of which are driven by our feedback. So a lot of times you'll see enhancements that we cover are the ones that are directly influenced or requested by our clients. We have a lot to cover today, a lot of exciting upcoming features. Today, our showcase is a little different. A big part of our session today is actually going to be looking at a preview of some of the features that are to come, some of the bigger things that we've been working on, especially during the holiday season, that are planned for release this quarter. So you'll also be seeing some new features that are currently available as well in the application for you right now. So it's a little bit of a mix of what's to come as well as what we have now. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping items. We always get questions about whether or not we're going to share the recording. Yes, we always share the recording. I know sometimes I tend to go a little fast, other times might be going a little slow. So whatever your preference for pace, you're going to have that recording after today's session so that you can view at your pleasure. And don't worry, obviously, about your microphone, camera, all those things are off. And don't forget to engage with us in the chat and ask questions as we go along here. All right, so with that in mind, let's get started. So this is our agenda. We are covering new forms. We're going to be talking about what's coming, what's changing, what are some cool new things that you can look forward to here in this first quarter. We're also going to be taking a look at a new feature that is actually currently available in your account. It's our new communication series. We're introducing a new workflow for folks who are part of your initiatives but have not responded. It's a very helpful workflow, and it's going to make things a lot easier if you are currently using workflows to manage your ongoing communications with your donor base. And then lastly, we're going to talk about a little bit about GL code splitting. This is an enhancement that has been largely driven by our client base, our customer base. Pretty soon, you're going to be able to split your transactions across multiple GL codes. And so that enhancement's going to be, we suspect it's going to be released here maybe in the next couple of weeks. And so I just wanted to share some context around that feature as well as some of the implications for your reporting. All right. Couple of updates here, or more FYIs really. A lot of times as new customers come in, one of their primary questions is, how can I get free training, or how can I get a little more support on getting up to speed with this new platform? And so just a reminder that we do have various ways that you can get training, get comfortable with CharityEngine. We have our monthly product training webinars. My wonderful colleagues from the support team run those. Some of you may be familiar with Brian and Bree. Those are typically first Friday of the month. So we do have one coming up next week, February 6th. You will see an email in your inbox for that. If not today, then definitely tomorrow. Look out for that. And their trainings typically cover, they usually rotate things, but it's meant as a basic training, and you can certainly bring your questions. They kind of treat it as open office hours as well. And those are recorded, and you can always look at the prior ones that have been recorded and shared on our YouTube channel. Obviously, we have the monthly product showcase, which you're attending today. Thank you for that. And don't forget, we have CharityEngine Academy. This is our LMS that has a lot of helpful coursework that is nicely organized based on areas of interest and applications. So definitely use that as well. And then something actually that we just rolled out, in addition to those free training options, is a custom product training packages. And so I just wanted to highlight that because we've been asked about this for quite some time, and finally releasing it for the teams that want to get custom training or custom sessions, package of sessions. They can certainly do that now. And so we've put together a few basic packages, but we can certainly work with you to develop your own package. If 6 sessions is not right for you, maybe it's 4 sessions and so on. But at the high level, it's really tailored to your organization. So it's going to be tailored around the kinds of things you want to be trained on or your team wants to be trained on. It's great for those who perhaps are having new personnel come in, who need to get acquainted with CharityEngine quickly. It's also great that if you've been using our platform for quite some time, but maybe you are wanting to dive into some of the features that you haven't used before, some of the functionality around workflows and reporting that goes deeper than what you normally do. These are also offered in person. So if that is your preference, you can certainly reach out to us and we can work with you to come out to your site. But certainly virtual works just as well. And hopefully this is another tool that you can use for your team to become more confident and self-sufficient with using CharityEngine. So I know that my colleague has shared a pop-up. There's you can download the one-pager that gives you a little more information. And if this is of interest, feel free to send me an email, or there's a link in the one-pager to contact us. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about new forms. So we are working on a major enhancements around our forms. The target release date is end of March, so we have a little bit of time here. But I wanted to take today's session, a chunk of today's session, and kind of preview what we've been working on. I know that some of our folks who are here today, I know we have some client advisory board members who are with us today. They may have seen this prior, but I think for a lot of folks, a lot of our client base, this is the first time that they might be seeing kind of behind the scenes of what we've been working on. So what's the big deal, right? What's changing? What's new? So primarily, this new forms enhancements is going to introduce more ready-to-use form templates. So in the past, we've received feedback that our customer base would like to see a greater variety and design options on the form templates that are available out of the box. And so that is one of the primary benefits of this new forms framework. We've also introduced a number of features that are just going to make them easier to build. So what I mean by that, things like adding goal meters to your page, or adding the recent donation widgets, or being able to add text to the left side of the form, to the right side of the form. All those things are going to be a lot more intuitive. Many of them are going to be a quick toggle on and off. So it's going to make, help with ease of use, and certainly make them a lot more easier to build. We also I'm going to introduce some powerful new capabilities. And what do I mean by that? Things like the ability to segment, create segment-specific giving pages for more personalized appeals. So for example, if you are creating an initiative and you want to be able to use your single form, but create a customizable experience depending on which segment of audience you're sending there, now you're going to be able to, once the new forms are released, you're going to be able to do that. So you can certainly you will be able to create one form and then customize the look and feel of it depending on your segment audience. And then finally, there's going to be a lot more stability for custom forms. So historically, I know that some of our clients, especially those who are using a lot of custom code and JavaScript in their forms today, have noted that whenever we do a release, at times there's some issues with stability. And so by releasing this new framework, Rather, we're going to have a lot more stable environment for those custom forms, which I know for those of you who have custom forms is very important. All right. So we'll talk about GL code splitting, but let's go ahead and go into our platform. I want to share with you a little bit of a preview of what's to come. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right. All right, so we're talking about new forms. I mentioned one of the first benefits is going to be around new templates. I don't have those in the app yet, so I'm going to show you just mock-ups of what's to come. And so I'm going to show you a few variations that will be included in that new form release. We're introducing a number of layout formats. So this is a good example of one. Historically, as you guys know, we have had layout that's full width, and then we had left align, right align, things like that. Half page was not something that we had out of the box. So we'll definitely be introducing that. This is going to be one of the options. Options like this as well would allow us to use half page layout, but also insert content on the left-hand side. So in other words, if you wanted to provide more information about the value that the gift would make to your organization, it will be very easy to drop in your content. And keep in mind, all the colors and the background images, all that is going to be editable and customizable to your organization. We're strictly just speaking about the layout itself here. This is another example, so a more minimized version of the form. And again, ability to add content to the left-hand side, as well as customize the image on the top. Another flavor here, full-length form, just a different variation on the left-hand side. Your image, ability to obviously customize your logo up top, and then enter more content to the right. And just another flavor of what's to come. All right, so I hope this gives you an idea of some of the things that will be available as far as the templates are concerned. But today, what I'd like to demo and show you is largely around the new capabilities and functionality that's going to be available. So let's go ahead and actually in my beta environment. And again, this isn't released. This is still going through quality assurance testing, and there's still work to be done. And so bear with me here as I'm showing you something that's largely still in the works. I'm going to go ahead and show you a few new form examples, or a few new form capability examples that will highlight the ways in which these new forms are going to be more easier to use, easier to customize, and easier to build. So I'll go ahead and go into our Web4 application here. All right, and let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and create a new form. All right, now I'm going to toggle this on because I am using the beta version. And so first example I want to show you is our new donation form. So I'm going to go ahead and select our new donation form. And so right out the gate, you can see we've put forth some of these selections earlier on than we normally would. So now you have the ability to add that background image right before even you create the form, so you can just delineate that. We also have this new drop-down called layout, and we're introducing a few new layouts. And keep in mind, layouts is a different concept from a template itself. When we talk about template, that's the design. Layout is really how the content is structured on that page. And so we have left aligned, multi-step. We have right aligned, standard. We also have iframe. I want to call out a few options here that we haven't had before. For example, multi-step. So multi-step essentially allows you to create a multi-step form where your users or your donors or constituents are going to be advancing through use of next button on the bottom. And so This is perfect for, say, you know, not necessarily donation forms, but maybe you're having a case intake form, or maybe you are a education institution or summer camp program, and you're creating an application for a summer camp program where you know you're asking different types of information, and you want to kind of isolate that and create a natural progression rather than having everything up front. That's certainly going to be available with this multi-step option. We're going to take a look at this together in a moment, but let me go ahead and start with just the basic standard art. Let's go with left align here, and I'm going to choose an image, just the basic image here. Let me see if I have anything good in my desktop. How about that? All right, couple of new toggles here. We have the ability to add recent donor widgets. So recent donor widgets is simply a pop-up that allows your donors to see if somebody has just donated. So it's a great way to use social proof, or essentially allow your donors to see the current engagement that's happening on that page, so they're more stimulated and inspired to give. We also have the ability to add a goal meter. So previously we also had this ability, but now it's just a toggle on and off. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle both of these on. When you add a goal meter, you're going to want to select your initiative, right? Your initiative is what's going to be tracking how you're pacing towards a particular fundraising goal. And so you're going to have to specify what initiative you want that form to draw that from. And so here I'm just going to grab one of my initiatives that I know has some fundraising data, so that my goal meter doesn't appear empty here. So here we go. Let me see if I can find this. And I believe this is the one I want to use. So I'm going to select that. All right, and create. And we have a question from Juno. Thank you for your question. The question is, will we be able to change the form of an existing, will we be able to change the format of an existing form to one of these new options? Or will we need to build these new forms from scratch? It will be new forms from scratch, so later is true. If you're wanting to use these new features, that will require that you start the form from scratch. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just open my form here. I want to see, I'm going to open it in an incognito window here. Just want to see how it looks. All right, you can see immediately that goal meter, and again, I did not do any formatting here. This is like very crude out of the box, but you can see just with that one toggle, I have my goal meter here, very easy to add. Couple of smaller things that I want to highlight on the left-hand side. So we've pared down the number of fields. So for example, if you have single line address enabled on your forms, if you have that Google integration, you're now just going to see one line, which is wonderful because you don't want to include unnecessary fields. So as I'm typing here, this is what I mean by single line address. So I can see the options. And so I can just click that and it will populate. Now, if you don't have single line address because you haven't connected your Google account to CharityEngine, it's going to appear as your standard current format where you have all these additional fields. Robust payment options as usual. That's pretty standard. But what I also want to highlight with these forms is that it's going to be much more easier to add more content on the left or right-hand side. And this is a feedback we've gotten in the past. People want to add a little more content here. And I think previously when you're using these left align or right align options, you really only had the option to add some content here, which would then push your form further down. And so with this option, we can certainly add content very easily. So let me show you how that looks. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go into my layout. All right, so I have all of my sections here. So to add content, we would just go to the content tab. And this is our top content, our bottom content. All I have to do is add that content here and it will appear on the right-hand side of my form. And so let me just plop in some sample copy here so we can take a look how that looks. I'm going to just copy some from my worksheet here. And I'll add it right here after it says initiatives. All right. So I've added some copy. Let me see if maybe I want to style this a little bit, make this title a little bigger. I'm going to go ahead and save. And then let's refresh my form so that I can see how that looks in real life. All right, you can see content is there on the right-hand side. Clearly, I didn't apply much formatting or styling, but it still looks pretty good out of the box. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show you a few more examples of some of the features that make it a little easier to create new forms. So let me go ahead and go back to our forms gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and go to search and manage. All right, and then let's go ahead to this is what I call our forms gallery, where you can choose the type of form you want. All right, so I also would like to show you some of the enhancements to our in-kind donation forms. I know we have a lot of clients who accept in-kind donations, whether it's non-perishable food items, cars, and so on. And so now we've created a few out-of-the-box in-kind option types. You can certainly add more. But for the ones that we have here, we've actually added new out-of-the-box fields that are going to make it a lot easier for you to create these forms in just a couple of seconds. And I'll show you an example of that. So let's say I'm an organization that takes vehicles or cars as a donation, in-kind donation. So I'm going to go ahead and create one of those forms. And let's see here. I'm just going to apply some super duper basic styling. So let's just go to design, and let's say we want, I tend to like left align layout, but let's see, we can also do the background image. Perhaps we can find something with a car. Let me see if I have something here. All right, sure, why not? Let's save that. And let's go ahead and take a look at our form. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open this form link. All right, so again, super basic. It literally took me seconds to create this, but what's nice about it, because I told the system that this is a in-kind form that's taking vehicles, now I have some out-of-the-box fields that are already mapped for me, created for me, that are relevant to that in-kind type. So I have things like vehicle value, vehicle year, make and model. So makes it a lot easier to collect and create these, create an opportunity for your donors to donate in-kind gifts. All right. I also want to show you in our earlier example, this is something that I actually forgot in our forms example that we looked at for the donation form just now. I wanted to show you how that multi-step option looks. So I'm going to go back to that form here. This is the one that we were looking at just a moment ago. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can turn this into a multi-step form. Just an example for those of you that might want to use that in the future. So it really just requires one quick change here. And then what happens is that every section in my layout is going to be a step. So I'm going to have a step for gift amount. I'm going to have a step for dedication and so on. And I will not be able to advance to the next step if I have not filled out a required field. And certainly if you were to add more blocks here, those would then become your steps. So let me go ahead and change here to my layout into a multi-step layout. And I'm going to go ahead and save, and let's go ahead and see what that looks like. All right, I believe my form was here. I'm just going to refresh. All right, well, because I've enabled here that goal meter, that's my first step here. But actually, let me see if I can just create a new one real quick, because that was not an ideal example because I had that goal meter on. So give me just 1 second. I'll go ahead and quickly create a multi-step form, and then we'll be able to see what we want to see here. All right, so donation form, and we want to upload the image. We'll just create. And then I should have selected layout, but I can certainly do that here. It's not a problem. Our design layout, and I'm going to choose that multi-step. Save. All right, and that should work. There we go. And let's go ahead and open our form here. All right, so you can see now each one of our content blocks, form blocks, is a step. So I have my gift amount is a step, dedication is a step, your information is a step, but here I can't advance because first name and last name email is a required field. So a lot of ability to customize here, especially if you have a lengthier forms that are things like applications for programs and things like that. All right. I do want to show you just a couple more forms. I want to show you some enhancements in our membership form, our event form, and our volunteer form. And then I'm going to see in pause, see if there's any questions. So let me go back again to my form wizard. If you're an organization that's running memberships, there's also going to be some nice enhancements related to how you structure your membership. So for example, if you want your members to be, or your membership types to be able to include sub-members. So in other words, a family has a membership with your organization and they have the capability to add family members, and you have configured that membership type to say, okay, they can add members. You can now enable that with a simple toggle as you're creating your form. So let me show you how that looks. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create my basic membership form here, and I'll go ahead and select some of the memberships that I've already pre-configured. And some of these I've already configured in the back to include sub-members, and some don't have sub-membership options. And we're going to see how both look. All right, and again, here I did not set any background image or any design, so it's just going to be a very blank form, or a very basic form, I should say. All right, so I have my membership type here, but you can see, depending on the selection, that ability to add member disappears. And that's because I have configured this type of membership, corporate partner demo membership as an example, to have the ability to add sub-members. If I go to enterprise member, you can see that option disappears because I have pre-configured it, pre-configured that membership not to include the sub-member option. And so adding a sub-member, it's going to be very easy, just a simple add member button. We also are going to be enrolling enhancements to ability to automatically enter your members into auto pay option. I know this was a large point of feedback for a number of our customers, so there's going to be a lot of enhancements around ability to automatically bill folks whenever their dues are up for renewal. All right. Let's take a look at our event form. What's new there? If you're running events, you're going to want to see this because promos tend to be very important. I can tell you as a marketing professional, we're constantly using promos to drive demand. And so I know a lot of times what we've seen with our clients and users is when they're running big events, they like to use promo codes to have those, periodic pushes to get their folks to buy those tickets, especially if they're running a 20% off or whatever that promo is. So it's a great tool to motivate additional registrants to register. And so we've had promos before. That's certainly That's certainly available, and you can use that right now. But what's new is how easy it is to enable on your form. So going back to what I was talking about earlier about ease of use, it's going to be a lot more easier to create or add a promo code section on your form with the new form framework. So let's go see how that looks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create my event. Oh, I forgot to toggle beta version. I'm going to go ahead and toggle the event form, and let's say I'm going to just include, select any event here that I have that I've already pre-configured. And it looks like I already have some tickets here. Those look good to me. So now I'm going to see this option to add promo code, and it's just a simple toggle on. And so when I create this form, and again, there's no styling. I didn't include any background image. I didn't really mess with anything. But I can now see if I open this, there's going to be a very clear promo section where my registrants can enter promo codes. Let's go ahead and open that form. Whoops, sorry. Having a little bit of funkiness going here. Let's try it again. All right, there we go. So you can see now I have, these are my two ticket types. I can add guests. And similarly to how our membership form works, if the ticket is configured to have guests, those can be added on the front end. And you can see it only, in this case, only went up to 2 because probably that particular ticket was only configured to bring 2 guests. But the point I was making was around promo code. So you can see here, promo code is already, field is applied, it's created, and so it's very easy to create a form, event form with a promo code. All right, we have a question around will promo codes be available for membership forms? I will have to confirm that. My gut tells me that it is a yes, but I may have to get back to you on that. I don't want to say something that isn't true 100%. All right. All right, so the last form I want to show you guys today before we move on to our new communication series is the volunteer form. So a lot of the feedback that we've gotten around our volunteer forms has been around the time and date picker. And so we've made some enhancements to make that a little more user-friendly, especially for donors and, or rather volunteers who are entering their time or signing up for a shift and so on. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and just create a simple time entry form, and I'll show you what I mean. All right, so if we go ahead and create a volunteer time entry form, and again, remember that if you have volunteers and they're reporting their time, they certainly don't have to do it through a form. You can send them to the portal where they can enter their time. That's one way to do it. But I think a lot of folks like doing it via form because it doesn't require a login. These days, nobody remembers their login for anything. I know I don't, apart from my email. And so this is another option that could make that time entry or time recording process a little easier. So I'm going to go ahead and pick volunteer post or shift, and let's go ahead and create. I'm not sure if I toggled the beta on. Let me just confirm. If I didn't, I may have to repeat the step. I did not. Forgive me. Let me just go back here. That little toggle always escapes me when I'm creating a new form. All right, so now, there we go. I'm toggling this on, so we're going to be seeing the new version. And I will go ahead and choose volunteer time entry, and I'll choose any post that I've pre-configured. And so now, when I preview my form, I'll see a couple of things as it relates to the look and feel and that time checker or time picker. So I'm going to go ahead and open in a new window. All right, a little bit of funkiness going on there. Let me see if I can just refresh. Not quite there. Let me see. Give that one more time. One more try. All right, it took a little bit of a couple of tries here. But here it is. So we have here a post for an auction manager. And if this person was entering their time, you can see the ability to do so is a little bit streamlined. So they can easily pick their date and insert their hours, 6 p.m. or a.m. They're no longer scrolling up and down trying to find the exact time and minute. So it's a much more easier experience for the volunteer to enter their time now than I think we've had previously. All right. I think for those of you who've done these forms before, this enhancement will make sense. And for those perhaps who have not had volunteer forms, the enhancement may not be as significant, but I think anytime we can reduce the level of effort we're asking of our donors or volunteers on these forms is a good thing. And so that's what the intent behind this enhancement is. All right, so that's what I have for forms. I'm going to just take a quick pause here to see if I have any questions, and then we're going to go ahead and look at our new communication series, which is actually something that's in your CharityEngine account today, which you can start using right away. All right, I see we had a question around ability for people to add names of people they're registering for an event directly in the form. Where will that info show up on the back end? You will, so once, if somebody were to create, a great question, thank you for the question. If somebody were to enter their names, enter the names of their guests on the front end of the form, as opposed to going to the donor portal, the outcome is the same. So whether or not they're entering it via donor portal or they're doing it on the form, what that does, it creates those sub-tickets right in the registration listing screen. So we can take a look at that. For example, if we are looking at events and registrations. And so what that would look like is registration comes in for the main person, in this case, let's say Melija. And then if I put in my daughter's name, Nora, I will see my name, and then I will see Nora's name. So they will come as individual registrations, but you can see, for example, this is what happened in this case. Mallory, in this case, is listed as a guest. So she is a guest of somebody who's bringing her. So you can also end up with this, which is, let's say you have programmed a ticket for 4 seats or 3 seats, and your registrant submits the form, but at the time of the registration, they don't know who they're bringing. If they purchase that ticket that includes those extra seats, it creates this kind of a record where the name is missing. So in other words, the registration is created, but the name is not yet provided because they haven't provided that to you. So the, I guess, long way of saying that, it's going to be listed in the registration listing screen. All right, let's see if we have any additional questions. I believe that was the only one that I missed. And if I've forgot anything else, I'm sure Uzo will assist me here. All right, so let's go ahead and see our communication series, new communication series workflow. So I'm going to go ahead into our campaigns application, and I'm going to go to our automate section and open my communication series. If you have not used communication series in CharityEngine, these are your automated workflows. They're great for things like creating a welcome series, a way to nurture your donors. You can simply change, you can simply put in your creative and run the workflow, and it will be on in the background, and it's kind of a set it, forget it, effort there. So let's go ahead and create, go ahead and click this plus sign so that we can see all of our options. All right, So we have a new options here. New option. You can, for those of you who are familiar, with this functionality, the screen will look will look familiar. But the new option that we have here is our initiative for initiative non-responders. So these are the folks who have been part of your initiatives, but they have not engaged, or they have not converted. And I should say initiative, not initiative. So each time you use this, you're going to specify what initiative are you talking about here, and then you can specify whether or not what are you trying to target: those who have not engaged, meaning they haven't even opened an email, or those who have not converted, meaning maybe they've opened the email and they have not converted. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that looks. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just name this really quickly, sample. And I'll go ahead, sample workflow. And I'm going to select my initiative. So in this case, let's see if I can find one. All right, great. All right, so this is my sample workflow for initiative non-responders. So I have selected my initiative when I was creating this. So what I'm saying here to this workflow is anytime I have an audience member who's engaged with this initiative, who was part of this initiative, but has not engaged. So there's three modes, if you will. So there's engagement, but no conversion. In other words, they have opened the email, but they have not converted. They have not given a gift. You have no engagement, meaning they have not even opened the email. And then you have a catch-all, which is no conversion whatsoever, regardless of whether or not they have opened or not opened. And so let's say I wanted those who have engaged, maybe they've opened it, but they did not convert. I can save. And so then I can, as usual, add my email step, wait, add another email step or whatnot. And so this is a great way, a great workflow that you can use at the end of, say, a welcome series. You can use it as a transfer workflow where you can transfer to this section. So if somebody has gone, this new workflow. So if somebody has gone through, say, your welcome series or whatever series you have currently going on for whatever initiative, and they have not converted, they have not given a donation, maybe you want to put them in a workflow such as this that's a little more drawn out. Maybe the communications are maybe more spaced out. And so it's a way for them to be nurtured for a period of time. You can just use the transfer functionality to transfer them to a workflow such as this. I think we have here ability to do that. You can find the workflow and transfer to it. Okay. Looks like I missed the questions. My apologies. I'm looking at multiple screens here, so give me a second here. I know Uzo was flagging me, so it looks like Christine, my apologies, I missed your question. Changing the label, promo code to, oops, let me just see. Looks like we've got another one. No, I lost it. Changing the label, promo code, instead say gift. It sounds like you're asking whether or not we can change the label. We certainly can. Is my understanding that you can change all those labels of sections. So we can take a look at that if it's helpful. So let's just go and find that form that we just created. And I can certainly try to see if I can change that here. I believe that was our event form that we were playing with. So let's see, I believe this was it. Let me just double check. Yeah, this was that one promo code. So I think you're wanting to change that label if I'm understanding correctly. And if not, forgive me, we can certainly follow up with you. Yes, we can certainly do that. We can change this to gift certificate. And we're talking about the label here, right? So promo code to gift certificate. So let's go ahead and just manage that form. This was our form. And I'm going to go ahead, open the layout section. All right, so you can see we have a promo code section. I'm going to go ahead and expand that. I see my promo code is there, so I'm going to click the pencil icon and change to gift certificate. Gift certificate. Save. All right. So that should do it. Let's go ahead and take a look at our form to see if that changed. And let me open a new window here. Yes, so we now have a gift certificate section. So you can certainly market it that way as well. Wonderful. Okay, I'm glad that answers your question. And again, my apologies for missing it earlier. Let me see here. There's another question from Juno. You see, initiative non-responders, if we want to target people who have not opened the email, do we need to set this up before we send the email initiative? And can we set it up for an e-news so that non-engagement folks receive the e-news one more time a few days later? Yes, you can certainly do that. That's exactly what it is. And the idea here is that you don't have to set up the audience yourself. You can just select the initiative, the email, and the system will automatically go and look at, all right, who was part of that initiative that wasn't engaged, that hasn't opened, and let's send them this email. Let's send them this workflow. And again, I use the word workflow, but you don't need to have multiple pieces of communication. You can just have one. The new communication series is available right now if your package includes communication series. So if your package, if you normally have advanced communication series as part of your package, you should be able to see this in the app. If you don't, and you have communication series normally, please let me know and we'll look into that for you. So definitely something you can take advantage of right away. And even as a marketer myself, we use this a lot. Anytime we're sending out emails, we are always looking at, the opens, the engagement, the conversions. And so rather than having to create a list of those who haven't opened or haven't converted, this workflow saves you that process and saves you that time. All right, so it sounds like we're going to have at least some good use of that new enhancement. The last item that I want to cover, and I know we're getting close to our time here, is around our updates to GL code splitting. And for that, I'm actually going to revert back. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to revert back to my screen here. And give me one moment to adjust my slides here. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with GL code splitting, in the past, we've had a number of our clients ask us for the ability to split a single transaction across multiple GL codes. Today, you can split one transaction across many funds, but GL codes is not something that's currently available. However, in the next 2 weeks, this is something that will be released and something that we've been working on for quite some time because it is a larger database change. And so we are going to be releasing that, and it's going to function very much the way funds do today. And so just to give you an idea or flavor of how that's going to look, I'm just going to refresh everybody's memory on how funds work, because that is exactly how GL code splits will work. And one reminder that I think is important is around any current queries that you currently have or reports that you currently have set up that are based on the assumption that you can just have one transaction, one GL code. If you have those set up, they will work fine, but keep in mind, if you have somebody in your team that after the fact starts to split the transactions across multiple GL codes, those reports may need to be adjusted so that they continue to yield accurate data. So that's just something that's important to keep in mind as we roll out enhancements such as this. So let's go ahead and just take a look at in the application how a fund split works, and that will be a great example of how GL codes will work once rolled out in a couple of weeks here. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my share screen here. And bear with me for a moment. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull and just make a basic transaction here. And we're going to take a look at that fund tab together. All right. Let's see if we can do this one. All right, so we have a transaction here of $200. If we go to our fund tab, we can assign funds, right? And so let's say if I wanted to assign multiple funds, I could do that today. So 2024 scholarship, I can say apply $100 to that fund and then choose capital campaign and do $100 there. Okay. So that has been something that has existed for a while. So pretty soon you're going to be able to do the same thing for GL codes. But one thing to keep in mind is related to those queries or reports that you may have already built, as I said. So I just want to show you what I mean about a downstream impact of having your report set up maybe on the assumption that there's just one transaction, one GL code, and then somebody in your team maybe not being aware of that setup and starting to split transactions moving forward. So why don't we go ahead and just take an example query, and I'll go ahead and create a very simple one here, just so we can see this together. So let's go ahead and create a basic transactions query, and we're going to pull this specific initiative and see how it behaves differently depending on two funds versus one fund. All right, so I'm going to create a new query, and let's go ahead and select donations, transactions. All right, and let me just search your fund so I can easily find all of my fund fields. So let's say I want to include, well, first of all, I want the ID of the transaction. So let's drag that over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and search fund so that I can add all my fund fields. So I want my fund ID. I want fund name. I want fund count. Let me see, anything else? Let's keep that as is for now. All right, that's fine. And let me just see if there's anything else here I want to add. Fund split. So if you're not familiar with the fund split field, it's a field that allows you to see when that transaction is split, how is it split across different funds. So we're going to have a comparable field for GL codes. So let me show you what I mean. For this purpose, let's just run this without any filter. And you can see I have my IDs, my fund IDs, which many of which aren't populated, which is fine, fund names, fund count, fund split. But let's just, for the purposes of seeing something that we can relate to here, let's grab this particular ID and let's filter this query by the ID so that we can see how that particular transaction shows up. So let me just go back up. I'm going to go ahead and put in my transaction ID as a filter, and then I'm going to put the ID of that particular transaction and then run. All right, so here's my transaction, guys. I have the transaction ID, my fund ID and my fund name are not showing up because guess what? I have two. And the reason I know is because fund count is 2, and I can see the fund has been split. The transaction has been split across two funds. So I have, you can see the first fund is 2024 scholarship, and I can see there's $100 there. Let me make this a little bigger. I realize it's hard to see. And then I have my second fund, which is capital campaign, and there's $100 per lit. So the point that I'm trying to make is if you split that the transaction later and you're not accounting for that in your existing query or report, you may see things like this where the fund ID and fund name is empty, and that's why. So the best thing to do is when that GL code enhancement comes out, I would definitely add a GL code split field if you haven't already to your reports, so that when this shows up, at least you know what's going on, as well as the fund count, because it's very easy to forget and you don't always have the control, or somebody may do something in the database that you're not aware of. So let's go ahead and see how this looks if we take this off and say let's delete one, and let's adjust, or actually let's just make it go to one fund. So I'm just going to go and assign the full amount to $200 to this one 2024 scholarships fund. I'm going to go ahead and add that and save. All right, so now this particular donation is only allocated to one fund in the full amount. Okay, and so here, if I rerun my query, you can see changes. So I have just one fund ID, one fund name, my count is 1, and my fund split is 1, just one account, or one fund rather. All right, well, I hope that's helpful, just a little bit of a refresher on how fund splits can impact transactions. And we'll certainly talk more about this once the GL codes GL code splitting is released in the coming weeks here. And we'll certainly have some communication to our customer base, reminding them of this change. And we're always, our lines for support are always open to answer additional questions. I'm going to just take one last pause here to see if I have any more questions. All right, we have a question. Oops. We have a question from Johnsy to confirm the amounts connected to each GL code used in the split will be synced to QuickBooks. Johnsy, I have to check that for you. I believe that's the case, but I always like to confirm. So I'll write a note and make sure that I get back to you personally on that question. Conchetta, thank you for your questions. If we need to see all transactions given to a specific GL code, will the filter catch the ones that are split? Will it be able to see accurate totals for GL codes when transactions are split? It will catch all the GL codes if you're using that split. So yes, if you're searching, say, by show me any transaction that has this GL code, even if it is split, it will show. The second part of your question, will we be able to see accurate totals for GL codes when transactions are split? I'm having trouble visualizing that question. Give me a moment. Yes, I believe so, but I will follow up with you because I'm interpreting that question in two ways. Christine, will this fund split show the fund ID numbers, multiple numbers? Yes, which is what we saw a moment ago here when we were saying those split. We saw the total amounts, different what the totals were. And then last question looks like, but the account will need specific fund ID number for each amount. Correct. That is correct. All right, folks. Thank you so much for your time. We're rounding at the top of the hour here at 3 o'clock. Thank you for joining me today and taking a look a little bit about what we have in store for forms, as well as some of the enhancements that are coming up with our GL code splits. And certainly, I hope you start using our new communication series for your unresponsive initiative participants. We hope to see you next time. Please don't forget that we do have the product training next Friday. Be on the lookout for the invite, which you will see in your inbox today or tomorrow. again, my colleague Brian and Bree will be leading that training on Friday the 9th. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.